When you revise so much and you practice so much, especially writing, you know by the time you finish that exam that almost everything on that paper correct because you prepared so much. So you want to develop that mentality and that kind of self-discipline so that by the time you go into any exam and you see that paper, you know the answers because you don't have to wait till results come out to know that you did excellent. Hello everyone. So I seem to be sharing a tip in addition to what I have been doing for CSEC examinations, right? We know it has begun this week and it would continue for a month and almost 2 months technically. So I am going to be doing this tip different from the others by sharing a real life story or something that occurred this week and something I've done before. And I hope that this tip makes sense and that you all apply it to ensure that you get the maximum amount of marks, which is distinctions, the ones with all A profiles, right? Because you want excellent grades. So this week I had one of my last exams, and before the exam, one of my lecturer for that particular exam will have given us, include myself, 10 questions to revise. And she also provided the answers. So of course I knew it's it's a accounting course, it was that particular one. So I know I had to do a lot of calculations because the test was coming mainly on calculations. So I knew I had to set aside time to practice, right? Not just read it and look at it and look at the answers, but actually practice because when you write, since we and you all would be doing written examinations, the more you write, when you practice, the more it sticks in your subconscious and you remember it more than just reading for revision, right? So I did my first revision a couple days before the exam where I attempted all 10 questions. However, I had to keep looking back because I forgot some of the things. So then another time I decided to attempt all 10 questions. By that time, I remember that close to 50% of the work, right? I did all and wrote them out. But I had to do some looking back again. The third time I practiced over all 10 questions again, but I was also looking at some previous questions because there were some variations and good thing I did that, right? So I didn't just practice the one she gave entirely. I went and I pulled out some from during the semester that we were given that was similar to those and practice those as well. By the third time, I remembered about 90% by just writing it out. And then there were a couple of things I was still unsure about. I also did some research because there were two questions in particular that was just confusing, right? So I did some research to clear up that confusion. And then I would have done the research before I did my second attempt, of course. And then by the fourth time I did all 10 questions. This time I did over the questions that she gave specifically for the exams. I would have, let's say, gotten 99% of it correct, 98, 99. So there were two little things that I was not sure fully about. So now I knew I was close to getting my 100%, but in the final exam, but I needed to clarify two things. I clarified those two things and then I went into the exam. Guess what? When I saw that paper, I was like, what? So the paper looks so identical to um what she gave us, but she brought 4 out of the 10 questions. And good thing I didn't just practice the one she gave. I practiced other variations that came before that had other questions being asked, and some of that came too. So I was like, good thing, you know. So now I was so prepared for this exam, and it I usually don't come out of final exam after an hour because it would have been 2 hours allocated for the exam, and usually they allow you to leave at the 1 hour mark, then the 1.5 hour mark, and the 2 hour mark. I came out at the 1 hour mark. This is my last exam for this degree, and I've never came out an exam so fast. Like, whoa. So that just shows you when you practice before your exam, the more you practice, the faster you're going to be able to complete your stuff. On top of that, the more you're going to remember exactly what you need to do and make sure and clarify anything you don't remember. So that by the time you go into the exam, your brain is full with everything you need to know, right? So the more you practice, you're gonna get. Just like how I said, the first time I did the preparation before the exam, it was like I didn't know almost nothing. I just a few things I was looking back because it wasn't there in my brain, right? So sometimes, and then two things we actually did that during this semester. I was so confused about it, right? So you want to make sure you practice enough, clear up any confusion. And even though something may be hard, even if you didn't pass papers, and the first time you do it, you might be looking back like me. If you keep practicing, probably that same past paper, but do others and do more and do more, you would see that you're going to remember to solve the problems more because CSEC can all come in different variations. You're also going to be able to write the exam faster because you remember speed is important. So I finished my exam in like 50 minutes, and then I took 10 minutes to review this stuff, and then by the hour mark I was ready to come. I came out there so confident. When you revise so much and you practice so much, especially writing, you know by the time you finish that exam that almost everything on that paper correct because you prepared so much. So you want to develop that mentality and that kind of self-discipline so that by the time you go into any exam and you see that paper, you know the answers because you don't have to wait till results come out to know that you did excellent. By preparing, and when you know the answers to the questions, you know you did excellent, right? So I hope this was a great tip and some advice and that you will take this. This is something, this is not the first time I did it. I've done it a couple of times already, but I thought I should this as a real life story based on something that happened to me this week, like a few days ago, Wednesday, right? And trust me, some of the prior tips that I shared, those are things that I have also been applying to my life. I never really bring it to a real life story, but I just wanted to bring this one into a real life story, right? Why you need to practice multiple times. I hope that this was great. Make sure to like, share, and do the best for your exam. Make your dreams come true. Score high and accomplish those goals. Bye. I'm Michelle CN from Be on Top Succeeders Academy.